practice. Okay, this is really something that's very intricate. They use that little flick to get out of the water and to give them a little bit of a kick in the back. I don't push that. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think we're at that level where, like even me, like I went to Worlds for dragon boating and I never even considered using that. It's just not something that you should start. You're just complicating your life. Get the basics down and then build on the basics, and the basics will get you further than a little thing like a flick. A flick is just not significant enough. Okay? The bottom arm though, we're going to get to that. It's a parallel thing where the top arm pushes down and the bottom arm pulls down. So I'm just going to get to that in a second. Actually, that was the next thing I was going to say. So, alright, so this is what we're going to do now. I'm going to get right into that. Okay, so why do I want to keep the top arm low? Does anybody have like an idea of why I like to keep it low?
Okay, shoulder injury.
Shoulder injuries, exactly. Thing is that when we start with a high top arm, okay, the first thing that goes, that comes into play is your shoulder. Your shoulder becomes a primary muscle of pushing down, okay? And then after that, what happens is it pushes down, it pushes down, it pushes down, and then all of a sudden it locks into the chest, and then that takes over. This becomes a primary, your chest becomes the primary, and your shoulder becomes a secondary. Your shoulder's not, it's a strong muscle, but right now, we shouldn't be focusing on a tiny muscle like that. We should be more emphasizing on a bigger one, which is our chest. Chest muscle is way bigger than a shoulder muscle, okay? So what we want to do is we want to take that away. We want to just make this as the secondary, as a stabilizer. And the only way we do that is by lowering it down. So we avoid that pushing with the shoulder, we just get right on the chest. So as soon as you enter the water, you should feel a chest pressure right away. That's what you're aiming to get, chest pressure right away. Now the thing is that chest pressure is supposed to gear down and really capture that pressure on our blade. But the thing is we're capturing a lot of pressure and we need help. So I call it the main three. Okay? It's called chest, lat, core. Okay? Those are the three main engines that I like to use. Okay? Those are the only things I'll ever say. I want to keep it simple. This is where I want it to happen. So we already understand the chest. Now, what about the lat? Okay? You guys, some of you probably never used your lat before. Why? Because you've never been told how to do it. Okay? Now this is the problem. When we're paddling, a lot of us come up with our shoulder, with our bottom arm, because of the pressure. Now the problem with that is that if you have your lat engaged, as soon as you lift your shoulder, what happens? It disengages. It's gone. So you just lost your biggest muscle. You should be pushing down on your shoulder, keeping it low so that it has a chance to get onto that lat. That's what you need. So what I call it is the parallel move. It's two parallel, your arms are parallel to one another and they move simultaneously. One pushes down and the other one pulls down in an arc. See how the hands are always at the same distance? They always follow each other? It would be the same thing as if, let's say, you have kids or husband.
We're too young for that.
Or you have a husband who's been bad, and you want to pull him to the ground, right? So you grab them, and you wouldn't just grab them like this and push them down. You would grab them and pull them down. It's the same concept with the dragon boat, okay, with the paddle. You want to grab the paddle and arc it down. A lot of you just pull right away. So you're using what muscle? The bicep. You're not using it a lot, you're just pulling. What you want to do is you want to bring it down into an arc. So you want it to follow. The problem is that some of you push down and you pull. What happens? What happens if I'm pushing down and I'm pulling? What's going on right now? Look at my back.
You're disengaging your lats.
But look, if I keep them parallel to one another, nice deep paddle, pretty good, like very positive. That's what I'm looking for right now. Okay? So keep that lat engaged. Super, super important. Okay, this is what we're going to do in the next piece now. Okay, we're really going to work that lat. We're going to keep those two arms parallel to one another. We're not going to bring it in like this. We're just going to keep them straight all the way through. Okay? And I really want you to put your shoulder down and really dig. It's almost like if you were to grab a stick and you were to write something on the ground without using your top hand, you would really dig in with that lat. You understand? All right, let's do it. An engine. If you take out the two motors and you go at let's say the three motors together can go at 150 kilometers an hour, and then you remove two of the three motors and you force that one engine to go to 150 kilometers an hour. Instead of having three, now you're working on one. What's going to happen to that engine? It's going to burn out. It's done. It's finished. But if you use all three, it's going to run way more efficiently. Even though it's more taxing to think about all three, it's more of a complicated system than just having one, the three together, they just work more efficiently. They'll give out power more efficiently. So if you guys only focus on your top arm, you're losing out on a big engine, which is your lat. If you only focus on your lat and on your top arm, you're losing that engine. But if you combine two together, that 200 meters won't seem that bad. It's going to seem a lot more manageable. Now, if you include a core into that, now we're rocking it. Okay? Now it all makes sense. So what happens with the core? Anybody answer that? The last piece of the puzzle. We actually did it a little bit at the beginning, but I want to know how you engage the core. It's what I was talking about before. Your hip. Okay? If you don't use your hip to move forward, okay, so if this hip doesn't come forward like this, see, like this is my hip going back and forth, back and forth. If it doesn't go forward like this, then my core is not engaged. I don't have, my core here is not turned. If I don't turn my hip here, look, there's no core action. It hasn't turned yet. So I'm not using it. So what am I using? I'm hinging up and down. I'm using my lower back instead of my core. Now, lower back is a touchy subject. We all know that. I've had lower back problems since I was like a kid. Okay, and it's a bad thing. You don't want to get into that. So you want to make sure you're using the right muscle. So the idea is if you move your hip forward, all of a sudden, you can just tighten your core, your abs, and just pull back. That's what I'm looking for core action. So you go forward, and you just tighten it up back. Forward, back. Forward, back. And all of a sudden, this becomes a big gear. It's like the gear on your bikes. The only way a bike will move is if the wheel turns forward and forward. Okay? It's the same thing here. You want it to turn forward. You want it to rotate forward in order to get onto that gear. Okay? So go forward, catch that gear, and bring it back. Okay? Don't only hinge. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a minute of core. We're going to stop for 15 seconds. We're going to do a minute of top arm, stop 15 seconds, and then do a minute of bottom arm, stop 15 seconds, then do 30 seconds of all of it together or like at the same time. And then after that, we're going to do a longer piece. I'm going to record you, and then by that time, we should be upstairs. Okay? Okay? And all you're going to do is you're going to rotate. You're not going to sit up. Okay? You're actually going to paddle like we're supposed to paddle there. Lean forward. Okay? So lean forward, okay? And just keep your arms straight and just turn your core. And you're going to feel a lot of pressure with that little turn. Now that's really bad. Okay? No one ever wants to paddle that way. It just gives you a good idea of what the back end of your stroke is supposed to feel like. Because when you do your stroke normally, you're supposed to give a little bit of a kick on the top here. It's the same thing as doing it like this. See? This is just exaggerated. Look at my shoulders, how they go from front to back. Okay? See? This one was back, and went, sorry, this one was forward and went back, and this one was back and went forward. But this is micro done in a movement up here. Just a little bit up here, just a smaller movement. Okay, so let's just all try that movement there in the front. So you lean forward, the arms are straight, and all you do is you take a stroke without sitting up. Go.